Hello guys, welcome to the section. In this section, we are going to be looking at a brand new system called the Reflexion agent system. I hope that is how it is pronounced, but this system basically sort of addresses some of the drawbacks that the reflection system that we saw in the previous section tends to have. So we'll do a quick recap of what we saw previously. So we saw that the reflection agent system, right, the previous system that we saw, consists of the generator and a reflector component. Although iteratively making a post better is significantly better than just prompting ChatGPT, the content generated by the reflection system is still not grounded in live data. It could be a hallucination or outdated content, and we have absolutely no way of knowing. I'll give you a very simple example. Let's say I am a marketer and I want to write a blog post on, how is AI helping small businesses grow, right? So that could be a blog post, right? If I were to feed it to a reflection, basically the basic reflection system that we saw in the previous section, what it might do is it might actually write something, but it is based on whatever the model has been trained, last year or something like that. It tends to have a cutoff date, right? But if in order to write a really enriched blog post, it's very important that we need we need to provide it a lot more recent news that happened, or we need to provide the system the ability to make API calls, Google search, if that is what it's needed, right? So that is how having citations instead of the blog post, like this is the URL that I referred this particular data from. So all of that is what makes a blog post really enriched, right? And that is something that this reflection system is not really capable of, because we are not really making any tools like Tabili search tool that we saw, right? We're not making it available to the reflection agent system. Okay, so that is a drawback of a reflection agent system. So that is exactly why this reflexion agent system, it addresses this particular drawback. So let us look at what is the reflexion agent system. The reflexion agent, similar to reflection agent, not only critiques its own responses, but also fact checks it with external data by making API calls. In this case, internet search. In the reflection agent pattern, we had to rely on the training data of LLMs, but in this case, we are not really limited to that. So the main component of a reflexion agent system is the actor. The actor is the main agent that drives everything. It reflects on its responses and re-executes it. It can do this with or without tools to improve based on self-critique that is grounded in external data. So let us look at some of the main subcomponents that are involved in this particular system. So we've already seen that this actor agent is going to be at the very top, right? It is what is going to be driving everything. Underneath it, we have all the subcomponents. So the first one obviously is going to be tools or tool execution, right? In order to ground a response with live data, we need tools like Tabili search tool, which is going to make API calls and understand, what is exactly happening. And then the first sub agent, you can think of it as a sub agent, and that is going to be the initial responder, okay, or the responder agent. So basically the responder agent's job is to generate an initial response, and it is also going to do some self-reflection. Okay, later on we'll look at the diagram and it would make sense. So we've got tools, we've got the responder agent, and we've got the reviser agent finally. Okay, so the reviser agent's job is to re-respond and reflect based on the previous reflections. And also, the reflexion agents are thought to have episodic memory. In the context of reflexion agents, episodic memory refers to an agent's ability to recall specific past interactions, events, or experiences rather than just generalized knowledge. This is crucial for making agents feel more context aware, personalized, and human-like over time. So here is a very simple diagram that the documentation provides about what is a reflexion agent system. Okay, so for now you can actually see that we have the actor right here, right? So this is going to be the high level. This entire thing can be thought of as the actor, inside of which we have the responder agent, we have the reviser agent, and we have the execute tools, right? We have the tools right here. So let's actually take things one step at a time. Let's understand what this responder agent is actually going to do. Okay, so let's say this is the user. The user wants a 250 worded blog post on the same prompt, right? On how can businesses utilize AI, or rather small businesses utilize AI to increase growth or something like that, right? So in that case, that user request is going to the responder agent, and the responder agent will basically output something like this. Okay, so this is going to be the initial response. So this, you can think of it as a JSON structure, and the JSON structure is going to have three different properties, and the first property is going to be the response, right? So the response is basically just a 250 worded blog post that the LLM thinks that, this is what is the right thing. And along with the response, it is also going to attach another property which is going to have critique. So essentially, it's like writing its own blog post, and then it is actually looking at the blog post that it has written, and then it is actually critiquing it. Okay, so the LLM is doing all of that in one shot. This responder agent is doing all of that in just one shot. Okay, so it is thinking, okay, this could have been better, this could have been shorter, this could have been, there's a lot of redundant, excessive information that nobody really wants to know. So it's actually critiquing itself, and depending on whatever it has written, it is also going to suggest some search keywords. Okay, so it's also going to suggest some search keywords. So basically, let's say the LLM is going to write the blog post, and then it feels like, it would write it better if it could have latest information about certain things. So it is actually suggesting those list of search keywords right here, okay, in this third property. I really hope that this makes sense. So what is next? So the next thing, you can see that the control flow is coming to this tools component right here. So essentially, whatever search keywords, the list of search keywords that the responder agent generated, this tools component is actually going to, the Tabili search tool. If you remember, in the first few sections, we looked at what the Tabili search tool does, right? It's basically just a tool that goes into the internet, searches for these particular keywords that the LLM suggested, and then get the responses and then send it back to the next component. That is exactly what the execute tools component does. So what do we have so far? So far, we have the initial response with the response, critique, and the search terms. We also have the results, the internet search results of the search terms as well ready. So we have both the initial response as well as the new data, the live data ready. Now, both of those information is now fed into the second subcomponent, which is going to be the reviser agent. Okay, so this reviser agent is going to get both those information, and then it is going to look at, these are the existing things, these are the new information, and now it is going to generate a revised response. Okay, so it is going to generate a revised response with a revised response, a revised critique, a revised search term list, right? And it is also going to add something else called citations. You can see that it is, the first three properties are very similar, right? It's got response property, it's got the critique property, it's got the search property, right? Except since this is the revised response, the content is going to be the revised content, the critique is going to be the revised critique, and then the search is going to be the revised search. And additionally, there is going to be another property that is going to be added, which is called citations. So basically, any research paper that you look at, the content itself would have like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then clicking on it, it is going to take you to the citations link where that actual fact has been taken from, right? So that is what is called citations, and we are also instructing the reviser agent to add the citations as well. So all of this content is going to be revised. All right. Now you can imagine that, after the revised thing is done, the LLM might think, you know what, okay, now I have extra information, but I want even more information based on whatever it is that I've written. So in that case, the search list is going to have new keywords, right? 1 or 2 or 3 new keywords. And again, the execute tools is going to go fetch that information, and then it's going to come back to the reviser, and this loop is going to keep, it's going to go on for a couple of times. I hope that makes sense. You can actually imagine how powerful this could be, because with every single iteration, there is new information getting fetched from the internet, and it enriches the content a little bit more every single iteration, right? It's going to ground all the content with live data. right? And also don't worry that the length of the content is not going to keep on increasing or anything, because we will also tell it, okay, only keep it to 250 words. So you can imagine that that content is going to get more and more enriched with live recent information, and it would make for a really good blog post, right? So after it sort of repeats for a couple of times, it is then obviously it's going to go back to the user. So this is what is called a reflection agent system. If this sounds too much for you, don't worry. We are going to be taking it one step at a time. We are first going to be building out this first component right here, and then we are going to be building out the reviser component, and then we are going to be building out the execute tools, and then connecting it all together using LangGraph. So by the end of this particular series, this section, you should have a pretty good idea. So in the next section, we are actually going to be implementing this particular system using code. So I'll see you there.